Hey, what's going on, guys? Hope that everyone will be fine. All right, so I want to give you a quick demo of this video. We are using an infinite scroll using JavaScript, and with the help of JSON placeholder, we can get a lot of data using in the JSON format. You can simply go to the JSON placeholder.apicode.com, which is basically a fake RESTful API, and you can use it in JavaScript. So while you see that we have a bunch of list of instructions, a simple some photo on it, and some title information. So while I scroll down, you see a loader appears up, and it will load our content, right? So depending on the pages, depending on the data that we have, it will load the data and fetch it. So that's what we are going to build from the scratch. So I hope you guys will enjoy. So let's jump in and get started. All right, guys, so let's get started. So I have my two images inside my folder. I created a folder with the name of Infinite Scroll using JavaScript, and I have two images inside my directory. So there I'm going to create my very first file with the name of index.html, and I also need the styling. For the styling, I need the style.css file, and the last thing that we need is the main.js file for where we will put our all the JavaScript inside it. So that will be main.js. So first go inside the index.html, and if you have installed the live server, so you can simply click on the open with the live server, or you can download from the extensions. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is to just click the exclamation mark and the tab that I want to create the very basic structure for the HTML, and I just want to make this a little bigger. And inside the body, I have created a header and set that to be infinite. So infinite scroll using JavaScript, and so that will be the header, and inside that I'm using the emit, which is built in the VS Code. So simply all I need is the dot for the class, which will be wrapper. And sorry, I just need to close my caps lock, and ID to be main dash wrapper. I click the tab, and that's all it gets through the emit. And I also want the albums class, and also inside that I want the div with the image dash album. So basically what I want is that everything that we have inside it must contains some body and the album as the image. So I have an image source. I give it just for now is ab underscore g dot png. That's the name of my directory. And I also want here inside the albums, I want to have my post in album information. So album dash info, and inside that I want to have my class of album dash body. So I give it the class for album dash body. So for now I just give it the lorem 20 text. All right, saves it. So that might be that's fine from here, right? So and then I also want the loader after that. So just down here I want to add some loader. So class of the loader, inside that I want to have my circles, which are 2. So all I need is to do is to just multiply with the 2 times, and that's what it gets. And the last thing, I want to add the script here. So just after the div, closing div, I want to give it the script and give it the source of scripts. Sorry, it should be main.js. All right, so that div must close right here, not there. So I just close that up and saves it. And I don't understand why doesn't it show. Yeah, there you see. So that's a very basic simple structure for the HTML. Now I want to go work with the styling. So all I need is to do is to go inside the style.css. I might don't give the link here, so I need to give a link of style.css, and now move back here and give it the box dash sizing to be border dash box, and the padding 0, margin of 0, and inside the body I want to give it the background of RGBA of 32, 14, 69, and opacity to be 0.7. And basically this is the red, green, blue alpha, so that's how it looks like. And I also want the font family to be Josephine. I don't know what it's pronounced to be, so Josephine Sans and sans serif. And next we have our display flex, color to be white, and I want the flex direction to be in column. So flex direction using as in columns, and I want to put that into the center. So align dash items center and justify that and move that everything to the center. So that's, you see, justify content to the center, and the minimum height should be about 100 viewport height. All right, now you see everything moves into the center, and I want to give it the margin of 0, and padding to the bottom to be about 100 pixels. All right, next I want to give my header. So for the header, all I need is to do header text align center, and padding to be 20 pixels, font size to be 25 pixels. That should not be to 15 pixels, saves it. So this looks like this, and color to be white, which I'm using hash codes, and the background should be something which has a color code of 8275 8275 B1. That should look like this, purple. All right, next we have border radius of 5 pixels, and that's, you see here, right, it has a border of radius 5 pixels. So for the H1 we have the font family. I want to have it Seago UI and Verdana sans serif, and the background color to be 675 C9C, and box shadow to be 6 pixels top, right, left, bottom. So 090E13, border radius to be 3 pixels, and padding to be 30 pixels, and margin, sorry, that's fine. It's font family, and so actually I don't want to have my background color for the H1. It should be font size to be 52 pixels, and margin bottom to be I believe there is no need for the margin bottom, and text align to be center, and color to be white. All right, so next we have our albums, which is our main class. So inside the album we have the position to be relative, background color to be hash 675 C9C, box shadow to be 6 pixels, 8 pixels, 10 pixels, 4 pixels. All right, a color would be 090E13. All right, so now we have our border radius to be 3 pixels, padding to be 30 pixels, margin 50 pixels top right, and 50 pixel, and left right to be 0, sorry, top right, left bottom to be 0, and display flex width to be 80 viewport width, and max width to be 800 pixels. All right, so this looks like so far still not as what we want. So next we have just saves it and go back. Inside the album we have the image dash album, so go back, so go inside it. So inside the albums we have our image album, so image dash album, so position to be absolute, and top to be minus 36 pixels, and left to be 372 pixels. So this looks like still this image doesn't suit what we want, but although we have a very nice div behind it, behind the image, so width of 58 pixels and height of 57, and next we have our border radius to be 50%, and background white color, and next we have our background to be white, display flex. So this looks like this, and align the items into the center, and also justify the content into the center, and padding to be 7 pixels top right, and left bottom to be 10 pixels. Saves it. So still it looks like this. All right, next I want to have that for the image, just simply grab the same class, put the image tag here, and let's suppose I want to give the width 50 pixels and height to be 50 pixels and border radius to be in rounded form, so border radius should be 50%. 50%, oh sorry, it should be 50 pixels, and that image should be 50%. All right, so that looks very nice now. Okay, so next we have to work with the loader that we have. So for the loader, all I need to give it the height of 50 pixels, and I want to, that's fine for now. I give the height to be 50 pixels, and for the circle, because we are creating a loader here, so for the circle I need to give it display inline block, and background color to be 9867 E1, width of 40 pixels, border radius of 50%. All right, that's fine. And I want to transform it for the scale of 0, margin of minus 10 pixels. I need to use some keyframes here. So I add the keyframes, and let's suppose I want to rotate that. So rotate it to transform and rotate that to be 360-degree. And but it's not showing you up because we haven't I just haven't show its opacity. So let's suppose I want to give it loader, and it shows only when it has the opacity of 1, because by default the opacity will be 0. So we set up the we set up the loader, and loader dot show, it should show when by default the opacity should be 0, and it works with with JavaScript. We can load when we want, when we scroll down um, our albums while we are working with a JSON placeholder. But right now we're just creating the animation. So for the loader, all I need to have is I give it the height of 50 pixels, so I want to give its animation of rotate, and that will be for 3 seconds, linear, infinite, right? Saves it. So you see there is nothing yet. For the circle, we have our background color, width, we set up the height. So let's height should be about 40 pixels, and border radius of 50%, transform scale to 0. Let's give the animation type. So animation grow 1.5 seconds, linear, infinite. Saves it, and you see that it's not showing because we haven't applied any color. So I want some pseudo classes, so dot circle, and for the nth of type, the second one must have its color, which should have background color of hash dcd6e5. Saves it, and animation dash delay to be about 0.75 seconds. Saves it. So all I want to do is to grab same color and give it for the third one, and animation delay of only 0.2 seconds. Saves that, and so keyframe, it rotate 360-degree. Transform that, and next I want to have our keyframes. Copy this, paste it, and give it the transform. We give it a scale of for the visibility of 1, and So that will be two-dimensional and keyframes to 50%. All right, so 50%, that should be grow. And now you see it looks like this. That looks more better. So grow is basically coming from this animation, 1.5 seconds. One thing that I've been missing here is, yeah, it should rotate. All right, so that looks like this. So once we give it the opacity of 0 inside our loader, so if I give it the opacity of 0, so that will hide. All right, so we want this opacity to be 1. It will be shown only when we are scrolling down for the RESTful API. So right now I just want to hide this. We don't need that. So we are done with our front end HTML and CSS. All right, let's move back to another part for this. Now in this video, we will discuss about the JavaScript. So I first want to have grab my main wrapper. So const main wrapper equal to document dot. You can also use document dot get element by ID or the query selector. So I'm using get element by ID to get my IDs. So the ID is the main dash wrapper, and next we have our loading. So const loading equal to document dot query selector for the class. You can use it also. So that will be dot. We have a class for the loader. So next I want to fetch the results. So I use the async and async function that and the name of the function. So let's suppose I want to get the photos from there. So get photos. So const response equal to await, fetch it, and I just simply need to do is to grab this all URL from the JSON placeholder and put that inside here. And if I want to, I can also apply some limits as far as pages are concerned. So I can do is I use question mark underscore limit. Let's suppose the limit I want to give it dynamically. So I'm using string interpolation. So put that limit inside it, and next I want to give it the page. So underscore page is also dynamically working. So I'm using dollar and the page. All right, so next I want to have my data. So data, once we can batch it, we can get the response. So response, which is in JSON format. You remember that JSON is a keys value pair, and I want to return the data. Okay, so that will fetch all the photos from the API, and I want to, because we are assigning dynamic data. So for now, I'm gonna use is the let limit will be for 3, and the page, let's for now is about 1. Okay, so now I'm gonna do is to show all the results. So this basically fetch all the records, fetch all the records from here. And now next I want to create the loading. But before creating the loading, I want to use async function. Not the async function actually. I want to get all the albums, so all the photos from here. So async function, so show photos. So basically we want to get all the photos, and inside this show photos function I create the photos equal to await and get all the promise, get albums, sorry, get photos here, and so photos dot for each. I'm using higher order JavaScript function. So photos dot for each, and the callback, I'm using arrow function. So photo, you can also use functions as well if you're interested. So const photo element, so document dot create element. So basically what I want is that I want to create a new element with the name of div, and because we want to get some, because we don't want to get the static data, so all I'm doing is just cut this out and um, put that all down here, and later on I will grab all this div by using backticks. So I want to create a div with a class of album, with a class of albums. So I want to grab this and I want to create the div first. So I created a div with the create element, and next I want to give it the class of, give the class of photo element dot class list, and add the class of, we have the class, you see here we have the class for the album, so I just simply need to put that inside here. So now we have the div class for the album, and now for the photo element I want to have to show inside my HTML, so I use dot inner HTML equal to, I use backticks, and for this now I have created this and put this all inside those backticks. All right, so just indent this code. I believe that looks fine. And after that, now because we want the dynamic results, so I just simply put this out using string interpolation. So photo dot, so basically I'm using thumbnail URL, so copy this and put this inside here, and next I want to grab the um, title for this, so that should be, so album dash info, and that should be okay, that's fine. And photo dot title. Okay, so that's fine, and now I want to, basically this whole is wrapped inside the main dash wrapper. Now I want to append this all, so all I need is to main wrapper dot append the child and put that all into the that will be all into the photo element. All right, so now I all need is to just call this. So I call this function and saves it. All right, guys, now we are getting the all the listing for, want to show the loading. So function show loading is the name of the function. So I want that the loading should show the class which will be the class for the show that we have created in the CSS. So once the opacity will be 1, now it will be shown. All right, so keep remember that now inside the style.css I give it the opacity of 0, but if I just keep it control Z, you see now it's showing us. So now by default it should be have the opacity of 0, and while we want to show it, it only show when we have the opacity of 1, which has the class of show. All right, so now I want to set the timeout here. So I want to set the timeout that we create a function, and inside that I want to give it the loading. After some period of time, it will um, it will remove the class of for the show because we want to load more content. So I give it the class for the show to remove that, and inside that another set timeout here, and want to create more pages and want to open more pages once, like I want to load more pages because we are scrolling down, and then call the function of show photos, right? So definitely while we are scrolling down, the pages will be loaded and it will call the function of show photos, which you see on top. All right, so now this will call the function, and I want to have the delay of 3 seconds, and that will have the, while we just remove that, that will have a delay only for 1 second. All right, so now I want to create the event for that. So remember that inside there's a window property. I use the add event listener property. Sorry, add as an event. So I add the event for the scroll because I want to use a scroll event here, and the function, and inside that I want to have some destructuring here because I want to have multiple properties. So that's what you can fetch from different resources. I get this resource from Stack Overflow. So scroll top plus client height, and I also want to have uh, here is scroll top scroll height, so that will be scroll height. So scroll height and client height. So I just want to give it the document element. So I want to explain you about what basically is. This should be comma here. So I just destructured that because scroll top means that the top of the document, while I scroll down, it has some multiple values, the height of the document, while we scroll down, and the client height. So these are all the properties that's provided by the document element. You can also console the log to see this. And all I want is that if scroll from the top adds up with the client height and have the value greater than equal to scroll height. So, and I gave it the value of -6, and I want to call the function show loading, right? So it will loads the data while we have the value greater than scroll height, and this should be some generic value that you want to have depending on yours. So let's have a look. Refresh, no need of refresh. Basically um, we're using live server, so I want to give this 7 in order to check our results. So let's give it the limit of 7, saves it. And now you see, now while I scroll down, the loadings, the loader starts and show the results, right? So I believe that's working nice, and I believe you guys will enjoy. So if you really love this video, so please leave a leave a like and subscribe my YouTube channel for more videos like this. So that's it, guys. So I want to see you in the next part.